Welcome back to my channel. This is part 2 of our Southern Africa adventure, so go watch part 1 if you haven't already. We pick up on day 4 and on the road as we begin the garden route. This is a super famous road trip along South Africa's southern coast. As this is a road trip though, you will see a lot of driving over the next few days. But that's no problem when the views are this beautiful. We had a couple rest stops, including the stunning De Kloof Lodge, and after hours of driving, we stopped at this cool spot for lunch. Then we made it to our first destination, the Safari Ostrich Farm. This is in Oudtshoorn, which is actually considered the ostrich capital of the world. The male ostriches have shiny black feathers and the female ones are a duller brown-gray. You can choose to feed the ostriches, but be warned they are messy eaters. The baby ostriches were so tiny and cute. Next we headed to Kango Caves, where we took a guided tour through the caves. The tour was really immersive and fun, and these massive stalactite and stalagmite structures were so cool. I still don't know which is which though. We checked into our accommodation for the night at the Serval Boutique. Here's a little room tour. And the property itself was also really nice, and it even had a pool. Today was a big driving day. I think we spent around 7 hours in the car, which is a lot, but it was so gorgeous. The views of the uninterrupted mountains and the valleys and the landscape was just so beautiful. Tomorrow we have less driving and a lot more activities as we officially start the garden route, and we're looking forward to it. Today, I think, is day 5 of our trip, and today we're doing a lot of hiking. We're doing this waterfall hike, which I'm super excited for, and then also a coastal hike. And look at this gorgeous sunrise behind me. We had a delicious breakfast at the hotel's restaurant before driving over to our first stop, the half-collared Kingfisher Trail. This is a 5-mile round-trip hike that ends up at a waterfall. The hike itself isn't too challenging, and there's even a part where you get to cross a river. We finally made it to the waterfall, which was a lot smaller than we expected, but still really cool. And then we made our way back the same way we came. Our second stop of the day was Swartvlei Beach, which was so serene and peaceful. Just look at this. We had a lovely beach walk here to Garrick's Point, which is basically just the edge of this beach. There were so many beautiful shells in the sand, obviously had to collect a few, and there were especially a lot of oyster shells. This point at the end of the beach looked like something out of a movie. As you can see, there are basically no other people here, and that's partly because the sky was overcast and it looked like it was about to rain, but it was also because this trip was during the off-season, South Africa's winter. It started to drizzle as we headed to the Naisna Heads, but we toughed out the rain for these incredible views. The ocean was such a pretty color here. The rain was making it chilly, so we were glad to head inside for a warm and comforting dinner. We checked into our accommodation for the next 2 nights. It was on the smaller end, but we wouldn't be spending much time here anyway. That brings us to day 6. We drove by Blokran's Bridge, which has the highest commercial bungee jump in the world, and then made our way to Tsitsikamma National Park. This is a really beautiful area with some trails and great views. We did the Storms River Mouth Trail, which goes across 3 suspension bridges. We ended up at this pebble beach, and the waves were a lot stronger than we expected. We had a quick lunch and then headed to Robberg Beach, which is probably one of my favorite coastal hikes of the trip. The walk is almost entirely on the cliffside, and you're overlooking the gorgeous blue ocean the whole time. We saw a bunch of seals playing in the water, and there were actually many points in this walk that we spotted some seals, so you'll see them again. There they are, more seals. You can walk around this entire peninsula, and the sand was so fluffy and thick near the back of the beach, you just have to jump through it. The lighting was also pretty dramatic because the sky kept changing from cloudy to sunny. I think it looks super cinematic. Overall, there are so many cool spots here. I will say though that it is a pretty long walk to circle the entire peninsula. On top of that, the walk back on the other side of the beach is super rocky and a little more challenging. Look at that beautiful beach sunset. We ended the day with some delicious nachos and pizza at Pili Pili, and just like that, it's day 7. It is our last day on the garden route today, and we head back to Cape Town tonight, which means that today is another heavy driving day. I think we have around 5 hours of uninterrupted driving at the end of the day, which is a lot. But we're also going to Mossel Bay today, and I am so excited. Every morning starts off with a delicious breakfast before we hit the road, and like I mentioned, we are headed to Mossel Bay today. First, we checked out a couple of museums, and this map gives you a visual of our garden route journey. We saw South Africa's first post office, and then visited the Maritime Museum. This huge ship replica in the middle was super cool. But the main attraction for me was the zip line. This is the largest over-ocean zip line in the world, and it was so much fun. I highly recommend. Mossel Bay also has a really long trail, and we did a part of that. This is the St. Blaise Trail, where we enjoyed some of the prettiest views. before heading back in the car for our long drive back to Cape Town. We stopped to stretch our legs at this beautiful gas station / restaurant / play area on the way, but other than that, it was a straight drive back to Cape Town. And with that, we conclude the garden route portion of our trip. But our Southern Africa journey is not done yet. Tomorrow morning, we head to our very first safari. So get ready for animals galore and so much more in part 3. I'll see you there!